Welcome into the bunker of General Gridiron, field marshal of football forecasted. We're about to map out the way this college football weekend number 8 is gonna go. Will your favorite team be marching to victory, or will the enemy be taking your battle flag? College football is awesome because it's full of surprising upsets. Georgia wide left against the Gamecocks, and absolute beatdowns too. See Clemson and FSU last weekend. And you can look for similar results during this weekend's action. So grab your helmet and man those battle stations. We're ready for another round of General Gridiron's football foretelling. Oregon at Washington. This Pac-12 North rivalry features two teams in the top 25. UW checks in at number 25 this week, while the Donald Ducks have continued to rebound from their opening weekend Big D defeat to Auburn. Oregon is number 12 this week. Harry the Husky loves it when the little white ducks from south of the Columbia River are brave enough to show up in big city Seattle for their biennial battle at the greatest setting in college football. And this year's migration north will not be kind to Mario Cristobal's Quack Attack. The Generals victor, Washington. Florida at South Carolina. The Rooster Boosters are a-strutting this week. Wins against a number 3 team, and on the road, they don't come regularly for the Columbia Poultry Company. Cocky gets to stay at his Williams-Brice barn this weekend as an SEC East behemoth awaits the number 9 Florida Gators, fresh off a butt-thumping in Death Valley. Going into this early Saturday contest, USC has a little bit of a miracle on their side. The injury that kept QB Ryan Helinski sitting atop an equipment box during the second half between the hedges turns out to only be a sprain, and old number 3 is expected to play against Dan Mullen's boys from old Florida. This should be a gall-darn good gridiron game. The Generals victor in an upset, the South Carolina Gamecocks. West Virginia at Oklahoma. The Mountain Men are down in the holler, a very deep holler, and it may be some time before Neil Brown can get this bunch climbing back atop Spruce Knob. Out in Norman, Lincoln Riley and Jalen Hurts are not atop college football's Mount Everest, but outside the SEC peaks, they're kind of a Mount Mitchell, or in Oklahoma, better a Black Mesa. Number 1 will be back to his old tricks inside Gaylord Family Oklahoma Memorial Stadium, passing and running his way to being the Crimson and Cream's latest Heisman contender. The Generals victor, Oklahoma. Temple at SMU. Okay, who envisioned a top 25 matchup in mid-October of these two American athletic institutions? Probably nobody. The Ponies are running wild, and at 6-0 are sitting pretty at number 19 this week. An amazing coaching job by Sonny Dykes. The Philly Specials survived a tough battle against Memphis last weekend, and with beat-down victories over Power 5 programs Maryland and Georgia Tech, they also lost somehow to Buffalo, Rod Carey's Big City Nightbirds aren't going to like this mid-afternoon meetup in Dallas. All right, the Mustangs with funny last names, quarterback Shane Buechele in his arm, and wide receiver James Prochet's capable receiving hands will have TU mascot Hooter T. Owl hollering, "Who gonna take me back to Philly?" Now, the Generals victor, SMU. LSU at Mississippi State. The Bullies lost in Week 7 to Tennessee. Sorry, Vol fans, but your first conference win in 2 years should not have come to what we thought was an improving Joe Moorhead-coached army of ankle-biters. Down in Red Stick, they're experiencing the opposite end of success. Them Tigers roared in the second half against those water lizards, looking so good doing it, the pollsters have supplanted that imposter Death Valley bunch from the northwest corner of South Carolina. Congrats to Ed Orgeron and the number 2 LSU Tigers. In Stark Vegas, those Tigers will roar again and stomp the Cal School Canines with relative ease. The Generals victor, LSU. Still to come on this college football forecast. It is the 3rd Saturday in October. Know what that means, SEC fans? Also, the one-loss Memphis Tigers and the one-loss Tulane Green Wave have a great game going down at the Liberty Bowl. Who's going to win? I'll tell you in a moment when General Gridiron returns.
Hey, Dad. Hey, Dad. Do we have a gun?
Why do you ask that, kiddo?
General Gridiron back with you. Hey, thanks for sticking with us. You know, each week, this fabulous football forecast is heard on some of the finest radio stations all over the Southeast. In Lenoir City, Tennessee, just south of Knoxville, on WLIL AM 730 and FM 102.7, the legendary WLIL radio home of the Lenoir City Panthers. And General Gridiron is on the radio home of Monkey Panther football, KZLG FM 95.9 in Marksville, Louisiana. We appreciate all of our radio affiliates. Now, let's get back into the football fight. Michigan at Penn State. The Big Ten East race remains up for grabs. James Franklin's Keystone Feline survived an upset bid in Iowa's Golden Corn Patch last Saturday and now trekked back to Happy Valley for a whiteout against a fellow conference heavyweight. We'll know a lot more about Franklin and Jimmy Harbaugh's boys when this one wraps. The Lions have allowed just 49 points in 6 games. Great job, PSU defensive coordinator Brent Pry, a Lexington, Virginia native. The General doesn't think coaches Pry and James Franklin have to lose much sleep thinking them Ann Arbor Weasels can put up a bunch of points in this one. The General's victor, Penn State. Baylor at Oklahoma State. Last weekend against Double T, the unblemished Bears had a little help from the Zebras to get another win and climb up to number 18. But Stillwater won't be so friendly on this football Saturday. The Pokes and their I'm a man, I'm 40 leader have been riding too deep in the sagebrush and are pretty close to falling off the cliff of irrelevance, unless they do their traditional mid-season shocker and get to riding in the right direction for once. This game will be a high scorer, and Pistol Pete's gun will have one more bullet to blast in Bruiser Bear's hindside. The General's victor, Oklahoma State. Arizona State at Utah. ASU freshman quarterback Jaden Daniels almost was a Ute. Only a year ago, he was on the UU campus soaking in the sights of a big-time win over those Southern Cal Trojans. But the Herminator got Daniels to ink a deal with the Phoenix Behemoth, and based on the early results, it was a great decision by the San Bernardino native. Number 5 has completed 63.1% of his passes for over 1,600 yards and has cruised the turf 198 yards in 6 games. His counterpart on the home sideline, senior Tyler Huntley, he ain't bad. So watch for the defenses to stand strong at Rice Eccles in this top 20 contest that will be eerily close. The General's victor, the home-standing Utah Utes. Tennessee at Alabama. Yep, I just looked at the calendar, and this is the 3rd Saturday in October, which means the Crimson Tide and Volunteers align for the 102nd time. Since that first rendezvous back in 1901, which ended in a tie, by the way, the Tide and Vols have been the top 2 programs in the Southeastern Conference. But 15 years of futility on Rocky Top means the Big Orange have kind of lost their bite, and the Auburns, Floridas, Georgias, and those Bayou Bengals are more than ready to take that number 2 spot. UT has not won this rivalry game since back in 2006, and they ain't winning this year. Those UA victory cigars, boys, smoke them if you got them. The General's victor, Alabama. Tulane at Memphis. Roll Wave, or Go Tigers Go. This duo of AAC West schools have only one setback on their schedule and still control their own destiny for American supremacy. Saturday night in the Bluff City's Liberty Bowl Stadium, that win will be working its way eastward from the nearby mighty Mississippi. And because of that, Riptide will be a wave of excitement as his coach Willie Fritz shifts to an impressive ground assault of the home team. The olive and blue will be true, and Tiger High will be back to feeling low. The General's victor, Tulane in a close one. We've already looked at the weekend's biggest battles across the land, but hang on to your helmet, there's more around the corner. We'll be back after this short commercial break to wrap up this week's General Gridiron with the all-important rapid-fire picks.
I was living in a shelter, juggling 3 jobs. I had to be resilient. That's something that you can't teach.
This is General Gridiron back with you. We've already maneuvered through this weekend's frontline college football showdowns. Now, it's time to fix bayonets and storm the field with our rapid-fire football forecast. Auburn blows out Arkansas. Iowa isolates Purdue. Texas easy versus Les Miles' Kansas Jayhawks. Texas A&M marches on Mississippi. Boise State is all offense at BYU. Miami washes away Georgia Tech. NC State feast on Boston College. Missouri wins big at Vanderbilt. Idaho wins the Battle of the Domes against in-state foe Idaho State. Air Force is Mach 2 at Hawaii. Iowa State beats Texas Tech. Clemson clobbers Louisville. Wake Forest rebounds against Florida State. Kansas State super close against TCU. Appalachian State remains perfect versus Louisiana Monroe. Duke dogs Virginia. North Carolina surprises Virginia Tech. Southern Miss and Golden Eagles quarterback Jack Abraham fly high at Louisiana Tech. And Georgia doesn't go wide left this week against Kentucky. Well, troops, you can now put your swords back in their scabbards. We're all out of picks on this week's edition of General Gridiron. We'll be back again next week, same General Gridiron time, same General Gridiron station. So don't forget to tune us in on the radio, Facebook, YouTube TV, or download the Y'all Show free on iTunes podcast. And don't forget to tell your friends all about the show. Simply search for General Gridiron. This is John Rawl, the General of Gridiron Glory, thanking you for letting me be a part of your weekend celebration. General Gridiron is a production of Y'all. For more, log on to y'all.com, the ultimate guide to the South.